DLC expansion, main game enhancement, standalone PS5 launch title, but also simultaneously released on PS4. No matter what you call it or how many shapes and forms it took during its development, the Miles Morales story falls a little bit short, time-wise, not quality-wise. Welcome to completion number 43 of the Potato Backlog Project. How's your gaming backlog going? You making any headway? For more info on mine, see the links below. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video for the Be Greater Together Tater Raider, and let's talk about Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Released in 2020 as the follow-up to Insomniac's insanely successful Marvel's Spider-Man game, I was not aware of the development details of Spider-Man Miles Morales. After I finished the game, I did a little bit of reading. While nothing is crystal clear, it would seem to me that this was initially going to be some sort of expansion or DLC to the main Spider-Man game. Perhaps needing more or better launch title options for the PS5, Sony seemed to change plans a little bit. The game went from being referred to as an expansion to being referred to as its own standalone title. This is all fine and dandy, and none of those things in background noise really hurt the quality of the finished product, or the sales for that matter. I do think it might be the explanation for the shorter main storyline though. The game released to much love from fans and critics and also received a PC release in 2022, to the delight of all those non-console gamers. If you've played the first Spider-Man game, you will largely know what to expect gameplay-wise from the Miles Morales game. So for this video, I'll talk about the two things that stood out most to me in my playthrough: the fighting system retools and the story length itself, as spoiler-free as possible. The main story is just too short time-wise for a standalone release and the price that they ask. Yes, lots of people will argue with this. I'm not saying the story itself is bad or that the game is bad, or not even that it's not worth the money. They themselves set this bar and a precedent with the first Spider-Man game. And for me, if you can't at least match the bar of what came before, you need to keep cooking the product until you do. Or just adjust the asking price accordingly to temper expectations. They do give you the PS4 to PS5 upgrade for free though, which wasn't the case with the first game, so I'll give them that as it's a pretty big positive. I think for me, there were a lot of parts of the story that could have been filled in better and just fleshed out a little bit more. It felt at times we only got highlights of things that had real implications in the latter half of the narrative. This may be due to the development process. What the project initially started out as, I'm not sure. At times we take some pretty big jumps from point A to point B, and I feel like maybe there were places that we needed an A, B, C to fill in some of those things. That would have just led to way better payoffs later in the game for some of the bigger, more emotionally impactful situations. I think there was also another missed opportunity for more boss fight sequences, the same as the first game. The couple that they do have are really fun, it just doesn't seem like their focus for these games. Maybe Spider-Man 2 changes that. I enjoyed the story, it was good. Miles is a great character and I cared about him. And I cared about the things he was going through during my playthrough. But this main story arc was only about 5 to 6 hours of gameplay, compared to the first game, which clocked in at about 14 to 16 hours. It's hard to build things up properly in that short of time. It is focused though, and it hits the beats it needs to hit. I just think there was potential for an all-timer here. The quality of the world, the side missions, the collectibles, they all help make up for those shortcomings and add to the overall value of the game. Like the previous game, there are tons of awesome suits for you to collect and a seemingly endless list of things to swing around the city and get done. The personality of Miles the character comes through in so many great and unique ways throughout the game. Things as simple as his swing animations, they just look so great. This is an inexperienced kid. He's brand new to being Spider-Man, and that's what he looks like, and that's awesome. There were absolutely no shortcuts taken on the quality of what's been presented and given to the player here. Because of that quality and everything that surrounds the main story, it can easily be forgiven that the main narrative was a little bit on the shorter side of things for a main, full-price, standalone AAA title. I spent about 12 to 15 hours with this game and I enjoyed every single minute of it. The biggest improvement game over game for me was the fighting. It was fun in the first game, don't get me wrong. In Miles Morales, they added some skills for you to use in the form of Miles' bioelectricity ability. They call this ability Venom, which is weird, but it's fine. It opens up a whole new element of how the fights are set up, how the enemies were designed to counter you. They also link this to some of the puzzle solving and other gameplay elements. Venom ends up playing a key role in how the main story narrative plays out to its conclusion. Combine this new ability with some gadgetry, not as much as the first game mind you, but it's just not needed as much here as well in my opinion. Combine those two things together with the melee and every single fight felt fun to me. The web swing kick alone made flying around and beating people up super satisfying. It also felt like they tightened up some of the camera issues I experienced in the first game, which was great to see. It's amazing that Insomniac found a way to really make Miles feel unique from Peter in all aspects, while simultaneously making the game play and feel familiar at the same time. The only real, genuine complaint from me on this game, Peterface. What happened here, man? Where's old Peterface? What is 12-year-old child who tells Miles that he's been Spider-Man for 8 years? Man, you're barely 8 years old. The easiest 5 happy potato faces out of 5. Just another blockbuster game that I was late to the party for. An absolute must-play video game. Super fun, emotionally impactful story, tons to do. I teared up a little bit at the end, and I'm actually kind of glad I just played this now so I don't have to wait 3 years to play Spider-Man 2. Wait a minute, is buying games and letting them sit on a shelf for 3 years actually a good thing? With that, the Backlog project rolls on. Shoutouts to the Top Tater member, Macho Migo. If you're interested in supporting what I do on the channel, click the join button below to check it out. Be kind to yourselves and others that deserve it. We're on to the next one. Bloopers. So let's go. Help me hit 1 million. And also received a PC release in 2022 to the light. We're struggling out here today. I'll make a video for a week, and this is what happens.